1955, West Texas. A new music teacher, Jack Cabe, arrives at a reform school for troubled teens. He's supposed to assemble a band to perform at the 4th of July celebration, but instead he introduces the kids to rock and roll, just beginning its triumphant rise across America. And along the way, teaches them to listen to their hearts and not be afraid of anything. One of the most common mistakes beginner screenwriters make is trying to say everything at once, cramming as many plot lines and themes into a story as possible. They think it will add depth and richness, but in reality it has the opposite effect. The result feels shallow and flat, and it's hard to connect with emotionally because the focus is scattered. Shout is a textbook example of everything going wrong at once. A sprawling script, an inexperienced director, and some questionable casting, all combining into a flop that critics like Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel included among the worst films of 1991. From its premise, you might expect another variation on Dead Poets Society, but the problem with Joe Gayton's script is that this is just one of many threads. At the same time, it's a story about finding freedom through music in the vein of Dirty Dancing. A sugary love triangle melodrama where one boy bets another over a girl, something close to a prison drama about strict reform school discipline, and even a stranger in a small town story where an outsider clashes with the local sheriff. And those are just the major plot lines. Shout gives the impression of being packed with events, but paradoxically, most of them happen off-screen. Take the romance involving John Travolta's character. He arrives in town, meets a local woman, played by Linda Fiorentino, at a bar and learns her ex-husband is the sheriff. The next time we see her, they're already melting into each other's arms, and the sheriff has taken notice of his rival. It's not a fully drawn picture, it's more like a connect-the-dots sketch. Every storyline in Shout unfolds this way, a few key beats with empty space in between. An experienced director might at least have recognized the issue and compensated for the thin material, but Jeffrey Hornaday, making his feature debut here, did not. Yes, he had directed music videos and spent a decade working as a choreographer on major Hollywood hits like Flashdance, Romancing the Stone, and A Chorus Line, but this was his first full-length film. The result was so underwhelming that he wouldn't return to directing features for another 20 years, and even then, only for Disney TV movies. For John Travolta, who plays Cabe, Shout became a turning point, but unfortunately, in a negative way. After skyrocketing to fame in the late 70s with Carrie, Grease, Saturday Night Fever, and Urban Cowboy, he spent the 80s slowly sinking through a string of flops. A comeback seemed to be forming at the end of the decade with the hit comedy Look Who's Talking and its sequel, but then Shout set him back again. The film not only bombed at the box office, but also earned him yet another Golden Raspberry nomination, his fourth, this time for Worst Supporting Actor. Though in fairness, it's debatable. Travolta isn't exactly bad here, he just feels completely out of place in this 1950s setting, like Marty McFly in Back to the Future. The supporting cast doesn't fare much better. The lead role of the most troubled teen went to then up-and-coming musician Jamie Walters, who struggles to carry it. Interestingly, he later left show business altogether and has spent the past 25 years working as a paramedic with the Los Angeles Fire Department. His co-star Heather Graham, however, does deserve some credit. She earned a Young Artist Award nomination for her performance and would go on to become a fine actress. It's also amusing to spot an 18-year-old Gwyneth Paltrow in a small, nearly wordless role. Still, overall, the cast is lackluster and unable to save a film that probably should never have been made in the first place. Living up to its title, movie tries to shout where it should have simply spoken from the heart,